Welcome, my name is Rebecca, and on this channel I talk about everything that has to do with yoga. And today's video is going to be a short video talking about Yoga Nidra, or yogic sleep. What is Yoga Nidra? How to practice Yoga Nidra, and 5 amazing benefits that come from the practice of Yoga Nidra. If this sounds interesting, stay tuned and you'll learn all about it. All right, before I get into the video, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button below. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when I upload the next video. Also, be sure to check the description box below. I have links to free downloads and other ways that you can find me online. Okay, so what is Yoga Nidra? Yoga Nidra means yogic sleep. And it's interesting because the two words are a dichotomy. Yoga, in a way, means awake, and Nidra is Sanskrit for sleep. So it's this awake sleep, and it's somewhere in the middle of wakefulness and sleep. How do you do it? Easy. You can lie down, put your head on a pillow, cover up with a blanket, get really comfortable. Ideally, I recommend for people to have the forehead above the chin. So not perfectly horizontal, but sort of, you know, like in your lounger, kind of comfortable. That way you don't immediately fall into deep sleep. The object of Yoga Nidra is to stay awake in this sort of somewhere between a wakefulness and sleep state. I know, probably clear as mud. Anyway, it's really easy to do for a beginner because all you need is to lie down and listen either to a recording or have a teacher guide you through the practice. The practice usually consists of setting an intention, or what we call a sankalpa, which is your resolve, whatever it is you're intending to do with the practice. So there's always a purpose. Then there's a guided relaxation through the breath usually, or maybe through some body parts. And then we go through the rotation of consciousness, which is where you just allow your awareness to jump around from body part to body part. Then we get into the guided imagery. Then we finish up with another resolve, and boom, the practice is done. So it's guided every step of the way, and it allows beginners to get into an altered state of consciousness somewhere between alpha and theta. So wakefulness is beta. That's when you're busy, you're active. Beta also has low and high levels. All the states do. So there's beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And beta is wakefulness. Alpha is alert relaxation, I guess. Alpha is kind of the state where you're starting to drift off into sleep. Delta, or alpha, is usually measured in people that are lying down and relaxing with their eyes closed or upright in meditation. Theta, the early stages, the lower levels of theta. The beginning stage of theta is where you cross over into early stages of sleep. Or you can also be awake and very deeply relaxed. So Yoga Nidra sort of skates around in alpha theta states. And those two states of consciousness are associated with deep relaxation. Okay, and it's I guess the point here is any level of practitioner can start doing Yoga Nidra. There's really no right or wrong way to do it, and the benefits are incredible. I should also mention that Yoga Nidra is a way to work on a different limb of yoga. So yoga has the 8 limbs of yoga. The first two the first one has to do with outward persona, your outward self, your social ethics specifically. The second has to do with your practices. The third is asana, which are the poses which we are most familiar with. People think yoga, they just think it's the poses, but really that is only the 3rd limb out of 8. As you get further down the ladder, I guess, You could see the first 4 limbs have to do with the outer world, and the last 4 limbs have to do with the inner world. Then we get into pratyahara, which is usually elusive for most people. Pratyahara means withdrawal of the senses in a general way. It's basically removing the energy that's associated with the senses. And how do we practice this? It's a challenge. So we have to move through the first 4 limbs and get those practices sort of figured out before we can get into pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses. However, Yoga Nidra falls in this category, and it's super easy for anyone to practice. It helps us to bring that awareness inward, and we forget about the 5 senses, and we only use hearing and feeling. The rest of them don't really happen. The 5 main benefits of practicing Yoga Nidra is, number 1 is that it relieves stress. And the second benefit is that once that happens, it brings about more mental clarity. It synchronizes the 2 hemispheres of the brain. We have the right, left side of the brain. They do different things, and often they just we do one activity on this side, another activity on the other side. But when you get into that flow state, which is more associated with the theta state, then both hemispheres are firing together, and you are in that like flow state. And finally, Yoga Nidra helps to reduce pain because it promotes euphoria and it stimulates the release of endorphins. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out the description box below. I have links to a free download and ways to find me on Insight Timer, where I do weekly Yoga Nidras and yoga practices. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time.